October 13th, 2020, a 40-second video was uploaded to YouTube titled Mario Party DS Anti-Piracy Screen. The first 10 seconds of the video show actual gameplay footage of a Mario Party minigame on the DS, after which an error message pops up on the bottom screen. The message reads, "Exception occurred. Please turn off the power and destroy the game card."
Holy shit!
This is immediately followed by the appearance of another ominous message that reads, "Software piracy detected. You are in possession of an illicit copy of this title. Please turn off the power immediately."
Bro, what the fuck? It's a serious crime to pirate video games. Please power off the system and report this stolen software immediately.
The screen then turns black for about 2 seconds before cutting to an image of Mario, Luigi, Wario, and several other Mario Party characters standing behind bars on the bottom screen. The text on the top screen reads, "Piracy is no party. It is a serious crime to pirate video games. Please turn off the system and report this stolen software immediately." Eerie music and sinister laughter can be heard in the background as a "Power Off Now" message flashes on the bottom screen. In less than a month, the video garnered almost 1 million views on YouTube. Much of the video's mass popularity
Did you guys see this? Did you guys ever hear about this? I have no idea.
can be attributed to the description, which claims that the disturbing anti-piracy screen can be triggered in the game. In the months following the upload, a similar video that had been posted by the channel Super Mario 64 Beta Archive 4 months earlier began gaining massive traction. The description below this video also stated that this was a real anti-piracy screen that could be found within the Super Mario 64 game. This is the original clip.
It's me, Mario.
What the fuck?
The screen in question shows Mario sitting on top of the N for Nintendo, reading what appears to be an instruction booklet. Above him, there's a warning that reads, "It is a serious crime to copy video games according to copyright law.
Dude, that's so weird.
Please refer to your Nintendo game instruction booklet for further information." Beneath Mario,
Mario and Luigi were finally alone. Even though they were brothers, and even though they were plumbers, they were still lovers. Mario opened up the front of his bathrobe and Luigi pulled his foreskin over the tip of Mario's penis. They docked like lovers. They docked like brothers. They docked like plumbers.
a message in Chinese directs the user to the instruction manual. Similarly to the Mario Party DS anti-piracy screen video, this 24-second clip also went pretty viral, receiving over 2 million views in just a few months' time. The virality of these two videos can ultimately be explained by the shock they caused in viewers. Although every game from the Super Mario franchise was meant to be played and enjoyed by people of all ages, it was expected that a large number of users would be children, and it's incredibly jarring to see such alarming messages about serious crimes and piracy in games marketed to young audiences. As these videos received more and more attention, many viewers took their confusion to online forums and gaming websites, where the authenticity of the clips was put into question. In the first months of 2021, several debunking videos were uploaded to YouTube in which it was explained that the alleged anti-piracy screens were fabricated by the channels that posted them to scare the audience. Even though it was confirmed that the screens were fake, these two videos gave rise to a whole new genre in the online horror community. And for a while, fake anti-piracy screens reached a similar level of popularity to the previous decade's creepypastas. For several months, dozens of creators uploaded their own mock-ups of anti-piracy screens, ranging from obviously fake to slightly creepy to downright disturbing.
On Duck Hunt?
One of the most unsettling of these videos was the Super Mario Odyssey anti-piracy screen, which was uploaded to YouTube in December 2020. Even though the video consists of a fake anti-piracy screen like any other, it's an example of how far some creators took the idea, and it's a lot more creepy than many of the other fake screens that were uploaded around that time. This is what was shown in the clip.
That's a little creepy. That's like XDD Mario. You are a thief. You are a thief. Holy shit. Pirating video games is a serious crime which is punishable by 10 years in prison.
The fact that this screen was so haunting immediately gave it away as fake, as Nintendo would obviously never terrify its users with these kinds of images and disturbing
Dude, that's pretty
messages.
cool.
Although most users were able to recognize the more extreme videos as fake, other anti-piracy screens were a lot more subtle, which made it much more difficult to tell whether they were real or fake.
Oh, that one
Many
looks
of these
good.
screens were so well edited and so carefully thought out that thousands of viewers believed they were real. The fact that a large number of people would comment on the YouTube videos and in various online forums claiming that they had seen the anti-piracy screens pop up on their games only made the fake screens more believable. One of the most notorious of these screens was featured in a video called Sonic the Hedgehog 1991
Alright, sorry, I had emergency.
Secret Anti-Piracy Screen. The clip shows real footage from the 1991 Sonic game for the Sega Genesis, in which the player adjusts the game sounds in a specific order before starting the first level. After progressing through the level for a while, Sonic can be seen turning around and running in the opposite direction until a bonus stage ring appears on the screen. As soon as Sonic jumps into it, the game glitches, and the player is transported to a screen with a black background and a message discouraging the use of pirated software. Below, a frowning Sonic gives the player a thumbs down while holding a game cartridge featuring Dr. Robotnik in the other hand.
Damn! Damn, that's pretty good. What are you doing here? Oh, God. You shouldn't be here.
As soon as the music ends, two unsettling messages appear on the screen. What are you doing here, and you shouldn't be here. Sonic's eye is then turned black and the video ends. Although the description in the video doesn't mention that the video is fake, the grammatically incorrect anti-piracy message, the cheesy warnings, and the overly creepy image of Sonic with blacked out eyes gave the video away as fake. However, many first-time viewers are still being fooled into believing the screen is real and can be triggered within the game. Although some of the most widely known screens have been confirmed as fake, others have remained not as clear, such as the one that allegedly appears in the highly popular 1930s cartoon-inspired game Cuphead. In 2021, rumors started circulating that if the console detected pirated software, strange things would start happening in the game.
Thanks for the resub.
Some sources claimed that instead of listening to the original music of the game, the player would have to listen to a creepy, demonic version of the soundtrack throughout the whole game. Other players reported that an anti-piracy screen with dark, creepy sounds and a reverse, slowed-down version of the theme song would appear as soon as the game started, along with other strange gameplay effects. To this day, most of the people who created these screens and uploaded them to YouTube haven't confirmed whether they're fake or not, but the fact that nobody has actually found a way to legitimately trigger these screens on pirated copies indicates they're not real. The main reason why this myth gains so much traction is that it's based on something that really does happen in the game. In one of the game's updates, a strange audio that can't be triggered in the game was randomly introduced into the game's files by the developers. The file was titled mus_intro_don't deal with the devil _vocal_666. And it was basically a reversed, slowed down version of the intro theme song with some strange noises added to it. Although the file definitely exists in the game, it can never actually be heard playing in the story, and it's unknown why exactly it was introduced. Many YouTubers use this audio file to fabricate videos and spread rumors about the now infamous anti-piracy screen, causing confusion for the millions of viewers who saw their content. It's worth noting that many of the most well-known anti-piracy screens, including the Cuphead screen, have been reposted all over the internet since their creation, and most of the time it's never specified by the uploader if the screen is fake or not. Sometimes, if the screen has obviously been fabricated, or if it doesn't fit in the overall mood or aesthetic of the game, the viewers themselves debunk the screens and expose them as fake. But other times, it's not so easy to gauge the authenticity of the clips, as was the case with the extremely disturbing Nintendogs DS anti-piracy screen. In December 2020, a YouTube channel uploaded real gameplay footage of a player getting a dog in Nintendogs and naming it Zeus. After playing with it for a while, taking it for a walk, and doing all the things that a normal kid playing Nintendogs would do, a message with the words, "Zeus is sick with scurvy" pops up on the screen.
Oh. What the fuck is scurvy?
The screen then turns black, and an even more disturbing message appears. It reads, "Zeus has died. Nintendogs can only survive in legitimate Nintendo DS cartridges."
What the fuck?
In a dark turn of events, the player is then taken to the dog's grave before the video ends abruptly. This is one of the most chilling anti-piracy screens on YouTube, especially
Holy
since
shit.
Nintendogs is a children's game, and it's hard to imagine a kid would want to play on their DS again after being traumatized by something like this. Fortunately, the screen is completely fake, but that hasn't stopped many people from reposting it on other platforms as real, which
Yo,
has
can you
contributed
imagine
to
if that
the
was
screen's
real?
notoriety. While these anti-piracy screens are all fake, game developers
Feels bad
have
for
been
Zeus.
implementing similar legitimate anti-piracy measures for decades. In the
Why does this Mario 64 look so much better than I remember? Is that because it's on like the Switch or something?
80s and 90s, developers experimented with many different piracy prevention methods, including lens lock, code wheels, and hidden instructions in the game manuals. Lens lock was a technology
it's
that
gotta be a
consisted
remake.
of a plastic lens that players would have to hold up to the screen to decrypt a jumbled up two-letter code at the beginning of the game.
What the fuck?
Without the code, access to the game would be denied. Over time, lens lock became extremely annoying for users, and many developers started to use the game manual as a copy prevention measure. The way this would work is that the player would reach a point in the game where they would have to answer a question to continue playing, and the answer could only be found in the game's instruction booklet. In theory, this seems like a good approach for piracy prevention, but it posed a problem for players who bought the game used and
Yeah.
for those who lost the booklet, and after a while companies replaced this method with the infamous code wheels. Code wheels were circular mechanisms consisting of multiple layers of
my
cardboard,
God.
each featuring different symbols, characters, or words. The layers could be rotated to align different elements on the wheel, revealing a code through the cutout windows. At the beginning of the game, the player would be prompted to enter a code, which would require the player to rotate the wheel until the correct code appeared. The gaming community
How is this any better than a fucking booklet? This is arguably worse than a booklet because at least the booklet had shit in it besides the code. This is just the code.
didn't appreciate this added layer of complexity to start
No.
playing their games, and most companies dropped the code wheel soon after. This is when in-game anti-piracy measures started to become more popular. The basic idea behind this was that when the console detected copied software, the game would alert the user in different ways to discourage the use of the pirated copy. This would usually take the form of a black screen with no music and a message similar to the ones in these images. This was common in popular games such as Donkey Kong Country 1, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out!, and Super Mario All-Stars. And while this was a necessary anti-piracy measure, it didn't take long for game developers to get a little more creative with in-game anti-piracy methods and start making them a bit more creepy. A perfect example of this can be seen in Donkey Kong Country 3, which featured one of the first anti-piracy screens that could be considered creepy. It's worth mentioning that in the first installment of the Donkey Kong Country series, the anti-piracy screen was a generic error message that wasn't very intimidating at all. But this changed in Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3. When the copied software was detected, instead of seeing a black screen with an anti-piracy message, the player would be taken to this screen. As some viewers might recognize, this was the Game Over screen from Donkey Kong Country 3, which shows Diddy and Dixie Kong in jail while an eerie theme from the game's soundtrack plays in the background. In front of the characters, we see an anti-piracy warning. After a few minutes, a different
Took 'em to
message
jail.
appears. This one reads, "An irregularity has been detected. Turn the power off, wait for 10 seconds,
I never
and turn
saw
it back
any
on
of these,
again."
man.
While it may not have been the developer's intention to make the screen creepy,
I never
the
saw
ominous
any of these
warning, the eerie music, and the
anti-piracy
dark image of the
screens.
main characters in jail made this a pretty unsettling anti-piracy screen. An even more disturbing screen can be found in the 1988 choose-your-own-adventure game Gold Rush. At a certain point in the game, the player is required to answer a trivia question to continue with the storyline. The answer to this question can be found within the game's instruction booklet, and if the player answers the trivia correctly, the game continues as normal. However, if the question is answered incorrectly, the player is taken to this disturbing cutscene.
Bro, this guy has the worst sunburn I've ever seen in my life. A hanging?
Essentially, the player gets killed for the crime of piracy, which,
Holy
coupled with the
fuck.
happy music playing in the background, makes this a pretty grim anti-piracy measure, even if the developers might have intended it to be funny. Around the same year that Gold Rush was released, another game with a much different plotline captured its audience's attention on account of its unsettling anti-piracy measures. Due to its limited audience and unusual storyline, this is a much more obscure game that many people might not recognize, but the anti-piracy measures are unsettling enough to make it worth covering. The name of the game translates from Spanish to The Abbey of Crime. It's basically a murder mystery game set in the Benedictine Abbey, and it was inspired by the classic 1980 novel The Name of the Rose. Although the game is free to play, it features a somewhat creepy anti-piracy method to prevent unauthorized modifications, which is understandable considering it was created by two independent Spanish game developers. When the game is launched, the software verifies that the palette and audio tracks are stored in their original configurations. If they're not, it initiates its copy protection. During normal gameplay, when the player enters the Abbey, the song Ave Marie can be heard playing in the background as music. But if the copy protection is activated, this is replaced by something completely different.
Ugh.
This translates simply to pirate, and considering the continual distortion of the audio file, the whole scene is pretty creepy. Although both Gold Rush and the Abbey of Crime are pretty old examples, modern game developers have continued to get creative with their creepy piracy prevention measures to make their games more
Hey,
difficult
Lupo,
to
thank you
crack.
for the resub.
Serious Sam 3, for example, contains a pretty aggressive
Also,
anti-piracy
Lunarin
measure that made the
and
game
Gudis, thank you
practically
guys as well for the
unplayable.
resubs.
Players that illegally downloaded the first-person shooter game would be able to
Deonson with
enjoy
the
the
sub.
gameplay as normal, with only one
Thank
exception.
you guys very much. Sorry I missed a couple
If
of
the
those.
software detected it was being played on a copying device, the player would be chased down by some sort of red scorpion demon throughout the whole game. The monster is unkillable and moves at a
Holy
much
fuck.
higher speed than any other monster in the game. As with Serious Sam 3, many developers implemented
crazy.
anti-piracy measures that would be triggered at the very start of the game to make the game unplayable. But other games like The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time
Dude, that's like the that meme, the Silence brand crab.
feature slightly more cruel anti-piracy measures. In contrast to the copy protection measures in most games, even if pirated software is detected in Zelda, the game allows the player to continue playing as if nothing was wrong. You can beat every boss, follow the storyline, and reach the very end of the game, and only then is when things start to go awry. At the end of the game, after beating Ganon, the player has to escape the crumbling castle with Princess Zelda. During normal gameplay, the princess magically opens the door and the player must walk through. But in the pirated version, the door never opens, and only the princess passes through, leaving the player to die in the crumbling castle.
Bro.
This disturbing anti-piracy method prevents the player from ever finishing the game, which is similar to the approach taken by Insomniac Games to stop unauthorized copies of the game Spyro Year of the Dragon for the original PlayStation. Released in 2000, Spyro had one of the most ingenious anti-piracy systems in video game history. If the game's software detected it was being cracked, Zoe, the progress-saving fairy, would say this to the player.
I'm sorry, Spyro, but you seem to be playing a hacked version of this game. This may be an illegal copy. Since this copy has been modified, you may experience problems that would not occur on a legal copy.
Despite this warning, the player was still allowed to progress through the game's levels. But the attempt to crack the game wouldn't go unpunished, as the developers made the game as annoying as possible to play for the people who tried to crack it. Eggs would randomly start disappearing from the player's egg count, Spyro would start to move slowly and clumsily, gems would start to disappear from the levels, and even the language would randomly change in the middle of the story.
Okay.
The further you progress in the game, the worse these glitches get, making it almost impossible to beat the game. Even with these protective measures, players can still fight the final boss, but the developers made sure that pirates couldn't enjoy the happy ending. During the final boss battle, the game automatically crashes, and when you open your inventory again, you'll find that all your eggs, gems, and other purchases have been permanently deleted, which
Holy
means you have to
shit.
start the game all over again, repeating the cycle infinitely. Anti-piracy screens like the one in Spyro have become more
That's pretty
common with
funny.
the passage
Okay.
of time, as developers have found this to be one of the most effective ways to prevent their games from being cracked, especially during the first few days of the game's release. Although anti-piracy screens have served their purpose pretty well, their impact has extended far beyond the gaming community. With their unsettling content and eerie mood, anti-piracy screens have carved out an unexpected niche in the online horror genre, and have remained extremely popular to this day.
Dude, that was good. Crack this. Really? On Thanksgiving? On Thanksgiving? You're going to act like that? Get the fuck out of here. On Thanksgiving, bro?